guys, Phil here, welcome back to Sim Racing Bible for another video. Today we're in iRacing checking out the brand new BMW M4 GT4. GT4 racing has become very popular over the last few years with big grids of cars from lots of different manufacturers, British GT, European GT4 and IMSA as well, and this BMW M4 is particularly successful in all of those categories. So we're going to take a look at it today, see how it drives on track. We're at Oulton Park, which is my local track and one that I absolutely love, so we're going to take a few laps around the circuit, see how it drives and compare it to the GT4 Cayman, which is already in iRacing as well, just to see how the two compare. So let's jump into the sim and see how it drives. Okay, so we're in pit lane in the BMW M4 GT4. Let's fire it up and see what it sounds like. Sounds pretty good. Straight 6 turbo under the bonnet, so plenty of power to play with, which is good. First thing you need to know about GT4. GT4 cars are basically road cars converted to racing. They're not as developed as a GT3 car, obviously, so you have your safety requirements, your roll cage, your seat, your harness, etc. Upgraded suspension as well, but not too technical, so there's not too much you can change in the garage, which is good, which means that it keeps it nice and level for most people, so they don't have to be worrying about setting up the car in a really detailed way. So that's a good plus for jumping in and racing. Before we go on track, I just want to show you one thing on the in-car adjustment menu here. Obviously you can change the brake pressure bias on there, which is pretty standard for most race cars, but this one here which says DSC setting MDM, looking in the setup notes, that says that's basically there as a setting for when the car's running in wet weather, which is not something you deal with in iRacing, so straight away we can turn that off and we've got a nice red light on our dashboard, which means that things might get a little bit fun when we go sideways out of corners. So let's take it out on track and see how it drives. Now, being a brand new car for iRacing, this of course comes with the brand new iRacing tyre model. So it takes a couple of laps for the tyres to warm up, so we're not going to go too mad straight out of the box, because otherwise we'll just find the grass and the Armco barriers. And this car also has the new damage model, so we'll very quickly have to find ourselves back in pit lane. So let's ease ourselves into this a little bit. The car sounds really good. The other thing you'll notice with this car, because it's being converted from a standard road car, it has a standard road gearbox, which means it has 7 gears. Ideal for cruising on the motorways, but not so much for coming out of Shell Oil's hairpin. So you'll probably find that you won't be using most of the gears in the gearbox, which seems quite wasteful, but you never know. Some circuits like the Nordschleife, where you have that big long straight, you may end up getting into 7th gear, but most of the time you'll find yourself being in 3rd, 4th, maybe 2nd every now and again as well. So coming into Nick Brook chicane here, I'm going to stick it in 2nd gear through here for the starters. Whoop, bit of a slide out of there. Now this car is a little bit different from the Cayman, in the fact that the Cayman's obviously a low-slung, mid-engined sports car, and this is a big coupe type car, so it's a lot taller off the ground, and you can certainly tell that it does feel like a bigger car than the Cayman, so it's a different driving dynamic, whereas with the Cayman you can get the car pointed in and then just really apply the throttle quite quickly. The balance of the car will help bring it out of the corner. Whereas with this, because it's front engine, there's got a lot of weight over those front wheels, you have to really coax the car into the corner just a little bit more, so a bit of trail braking to help bring the front end in, but you have to be that little bit more patient on turn-in. And of course when you try and apply a little bit too much throttle on the exit, it can get quite light and a bit more fun, shall we say. But so far the car feels pretty good to drive. It actually feels a bit more forgiving than the Cayman. Down to 2nd gear for Shell Oils, I think. Use the camber and whoop. Still warming those tyres up. Now because of the gearing, it's sometimes find that you're in a situation where you're like, well, the corner's just that little bit too quick for 2nd, and too slow for 3rd, so you're kind of between gears, which can make you a bit tricky. Normally I'd try and take a corner in a gear which is much higher than you would think, so say for example Old Hall corner here at Oulton Park, I'd try and take that in 4th normally, but because of the gearing on this car I think I'm going to have to take it in 3rd, and there's a couple of places around the circuit where you're just going to have to drop it a gear and just live with the consequences of having to change gear quite quickly after the corner. But it's not something you can adjust in the settings, so you have to kind of work around it. The other thing I've noticed with this particular car is the brakes don't feel like they're quite strong enough. So you're coming along at quite a good speed, you hit the brakes and it doesn't seem to do an awful lot. It slows the car down, but you'd expect it to kind of slow down a bit more than that, so you have to be a bit more prepared for that and bring your braking points back so that you're not running on off the circuit. Kind of like that, but without the dramatic consequences of going off onto the gravel. My impressions are I like the car, I think it drives really well, there's a bit of forgiveness in there. It's good for new drivers, and that's what this series is really good at in iRacing. It's kind of a stepping stone into the world of GT racing. It's the first rung on the GT racing ladder, and it allows you to get used to GT cars but also multi-class racing, because the Cayman and the M4 are bunged in with the Audi TCR car, so there's not a great deal of difference speed-wise between them, but the TCR is just a little bit slower, so you still have to be aware of other cars on track. Oulton Park is such a fun circuit to drive, really is. Up Clay Hill once again, towards Druids. Normally this would be a fourth gear corner, but again I'm going to have to go down to third, I reckon. Watch the car go light on the top of the crest. Down to Lodge again, one of my favourite corners on the track, because you get it tucked in on the camber on the inside and then you crest the hill and the car tries to get away from the exit like that. Lots of fun to drive. So what are the plus points for this car then? What do I like about it? Well, I like how it sounds. It sounds really cool. I always do love a straight six. Obviously they've done a great job in modelling the car, as you would expect from iRacing, laser scanning everything. The cars look really good. I like the way it drives very nicely, it's very very neutral always, it feels very, very nicely balanced, very controllable at the limit as well, so when you do find yourself maybe applying a bit too much throttle or pushing on a little bit too much, the back end comes around, but it seems easy enough to catch it, which is actually quite a plus for a car in iRacing that I find. Sometimes you get a bit of oversteer and it's not easy to catch the car, so they've done a good job in making the car drive nicely. The force feedback's very nice. Maybe what I don't like so much is those brakes, but maybe they're like that in the real car, so you just have to learn to drive with them and do the best you can with them. They are ABS, so there's no fear of locking up, so you can just mash them. However, doing that doesn't always give you the best braking performance, so you have to kind of find where the maximum amount of braking power is on your brake pedal inputs. But overall, I really like the car. I think I prefer it to the Cayman. I'm looking forward to giving this a go on track with everyone else on iRacing and do some racing with it. They're only 30-minute sprint races, so they're good fun. There's also joined the BMW 12 series as well, so it's just a 12-minute race for really short sprint races. But what do you think? Do you prefer this or do you prefer the Cayman? Have you tried them both? Let us know in the comments which one you like the best. And also let us know which GT4 car you'd like to see them add to the series, or if there's a special one that you like and would like them to add to the IMSA series, whether it's maybe a Mustang or a KTM Crossbow or whatever it might be. Let us know which one you'd like to see next in iRacing. Or do you prefer GT4 to GT3? I know there's a lot of GT3 fans out there, but I also know there's a lot of GT3 people out there who really enjoy driving these GT4 cars as well, so which one do you prefer to drive? So there we are, that's our little test drive and review of the M4 GT4. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash the like button, and if you really enjoyed it, make sure you click that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new content which is coming your way very soon. and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when a new video drops from us. But until next time, we'll see you soon.